So I'm recording now. We'll be recording today's session and we may end up posting it on the King County Elections website. Thank you all for joining us this morning. I'm Diane Elsheet, King County Elections Candidate and Jurisdiction Coordinator, and together with the program lead, Angela, who you'll hear from shortly, we handle everything related to candidate filing and the local voters pamphlet. We started off with this poll to let us get an idea of what brought you all here today. It looks like quite a few of you are interested in filing for city offices, just a few with the city of Seattle specifically, and then a couple who are still thinking about what you want to do, looking at special purpose districts. And it looks like a majority of our attendees are filing for the first time. So welcome, congratulations, that's exciting. I think I can share those with you. So in today's workshop, first you'll hear about the nuts and bolts of filing with King County Elections, the deadlines, and the basic requirements of candidate filing and voter pamphlet materials. Then we'll get to hear some great campaign finance information from Liddell, who's joining us from the Public Disclosure Commission. Regardless of the offices that you're interested in, this first portion of the presentation is relevant to everyone. After we've heard from Liddell, we have some information specifically for those of you who are interested in City of Seattle offices. We'll be hearing from Monica Simmons, who's joining us today from the Seattle City Clerk's office. We have Liz here as well, thank you. And then we'll hear from the Seattle Ethics and Elections Commission too. These are the folks who will be able to talk about Seattle specific details like their video voters guide and the democracy voucher program. We will keep an eye on the Q&A and the chat boxes as we go along and do our best to address your questions throughout the presentation. We'll also take a pause at the end of each section and look for any raised hands and take questions that way as well. So with that, I will go ahead and hand off to Angela to get us started.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Angela Kubota, and I'm the Candidate and Jurisdiction Lead. If you call or email us at Election Services, there's a good chance that you'll reach myself or Diane directly with your candidate filing question. Since you're here with us today, I bet you're thinking you might want to be a candidate, but you just don't know where to start. It can all seem overwhelming. Hopefully today we will rid you of your anxiety. I'll be your guide in the first part of today's training. On our website, we have a page that is 100% devoted to running for office. It is actually called the Running for Office page. Everything you need to know can be located on this page as a resource and is just a click away. On the Running for Office page, you will find the candidate manual. It is cover to cover of everything you need to know to become a candidate, like the elections calendar, when and where to file, voters pamphlet best practices. Diane is placing a link to the candidate manual and the Running for Office page in the chat. Please feel free to follow along. Today's agenda, we will cover many things such as the elections calendar, online candidate filing, withdrawal of candidacy, and ballot order, residency requirements, local voters pamphlet filings, voter data requests, and we have Liddell from the Public Disclosure Commission as our special speaker to cover the PDC information. Starting on page 5 of the candidate manual, you'll find the election calendar. You'll find the key dates for candidate filing, the primary and general elections. It is color-coded red for the primary and blue for the general. You will find candidate-specific dates like the voters pamphlet submission deadlines, along with general information like when ballots are mailed and when the election is certified. Now you know when to file, but how do you know what offices you can file for? Again, on the Running for Office page, you will find the next resource that's called the Offices Subject to Election. This document has the position that is up for election, the filing fee amount, if any, the current incumbent, where to file, and voters pamphlet word limits. To file for office, you must file a Declaration of Candidacy and pay the filing fee, if any. You must be a registered voter in the district represented by the office, which means that I'm in the Issaquah School District, so I would be eligible to run for the Issaquah School District Board, but I would not be able to run for the Seattle School District. You must possess the qualifications specified by law required for the office. If I wanted to be a municipal court judge, I would need to be a lawyer and in good standing with the Washington State Bar Association. The online filing opens at 9 a.m. on Monday, May 17th, and is open 24 hours a day until it closes at 4 p.m. on Friday, May 21st. We encourage everyone to file early in the week and not wait until Friday afternoon. We also encourage everyone to file online as it's the most convenient way. If you're prepared and ready to file, it won't take longer than 10 minutes online. So there's absolutely no reason to waste gas, fight 405, I-5, or 167. It's easy peasy online. Just think of it like if you can file or if you can pay a bill online, you can always file online. And if you run into any trouble, we're here to help over the phone. We will also be available during business hours to help candidates in person as needed, but we ask that you call ahead of time. May 3rd is the first day that filings can be accepted by mail. Just know that we do not process them until Monday, May 17th. Personally, if I was a candidate, I would file online as it is not only the fast and convenient way, but because I would receive an email confirmation that my filing was complete. Again, it's like paying a bill online. You get that instant receipt saying that you've paid, and rather than waiting for a check to clear your bank account. At the time of filing, you must pay the filing fee. It is 1% of the annual salary, so it could be $0 to thousands of dollars. Please note that filing fees are non-refundable. The last thing to do to prepare to file is to double check your voter registration. On our King County Elections homepage, on the right-hand side, there is the My Voter Information lookup tool. Just by entering your name, date of birth, or house number, you can verify that we have you at the correct residential address. Just remember, you must be a registered voter of the district. So if you move from Kent to Seattle, you will want to verify that we have your new Seattle address on file. If it is incorrect, just give us a call and our fabulous voter registration team will assist you prior to filing. Now, getting ready to file. Again, check that you have the correct position number ready. Position numbers are important. If you filed for the Newcastle City Council position number 2, but you realize you meant to file for position number 4, we would not be able to just change it for you. It seems like a quick and easy fix, but it would require a withdrawal, and you would need to repay the filing fee again. Have your ballot name ready. We'll cover more of this in a minute. Also have your campaign information ready. This is your campaign address, email, phone number, and website, if you would like one listed. For your ballot name, your first name can be a nickname. My name is Angela Kubota Wolbert. On the ballot, my name could be Angie, as my friends and family know me. My last name does not need to be what is registered. So for my ballot name, or my last name does need to be what is registered. So for my ballot name, I can use Kubota, or I can use Wolbert, or I can use both. Do not use a name that denotes occupation or military rank. I couldn't be Dr. Angela Kubota on the ballot. Also, do not use a name that misleads voters or indicates political affiliation. I could not be the amazing Angela Kubota on the ballot. Again, your ballot name cannot be changed. Once you file, you will need to refile and pay the filing fee again. I don't know about you, but sometimes I buy things that look great in the store. I get home and get some feedback from my family that makes me question my decision making. It's my buyer's remorse moment. This could also happen with filing. Just know the last day to withdraw is Monday, May 24th, 4:30 p.m. Regardless of circumstances, you would need to withdraw by 4:30. Otherwise your name would appear on the ballot. This includes not only changing your mind, but moving out of the district, major life events, or illness. What if you change your mind and don't have a printer? The candidate's signature is required. What you can do is write it on a piece of paper, your name, the office you'd like to be withdrawn from, sign and date, and take a picture with your smartphone and email it over. It's easy peasy. We will get you withdrawn if it is before the deadline. Remember, filing fees are non-refundable. Your name can only appear on the ballot once. You cannot file for 2 positions. You can hold 2 positions, for instance, be a fire commissioner and be on the school board, but you cannot be on the ballot twice. So if you're thinking, I have a better chance on the school board, but I would really like that council position, so I'm just going to file for both and increase my chances, just know that you can't increase your odds like that. Page 13 and 14 of the candidate manual has a chart that goes over additional residency requirements and other requirements. If you have more questions, please direct them directly to the district. Again, you must be a registered voter of the district. Thank you again for joining us today. And now my colleague Diane will cover the second half of the training.
Thank you, Angela. Yeah, so now that you have some details about actually filing, let's talk about the next step, which is joining our local voters pamphlet. King County Elections will produce 2 local voters pamphlets, one ahead of the primary election and one ahead of the general. All candidates may submit a photo and a statement for the voters pamphlet. If you're in a race that appears in both the primary and the general elections, you'll have a chance to submit a new statement and photo between the elections. If you choose not to, we'll just publish the same statement again. Once your candidate filing has been approved, you will get an email notification with a link to file your voter pamphlet photo and statement. The deadline to submit voter pamphlet materials is the Friday after candidate filing week. That's May 28th this year at 4:30 p.m. We make no exceptions for late submissions. Those candidates appearing on the general ballot will have the opportunity to submit new pamphlet materials in late July. After the candidate withdrawal deadline, which is the Monday after candidate filing week, we'll send emails to every candidate letting you know whether or not your race will appear on the primary. When submitting your photo, there are some guidelines you need to follow. It should be a self-portrait showing your head and shoulders. It should be no more than 5 years old, and attire implying you hold an office is not permitted. If you've seen one of our voters pamphlets in years past, you may remember that they're printed in black and white on newsprint, so keep that in mind. If you use a white background, you may look like a floating head, and if you use a black background in black and white, you may blur back into it. A busy background can also be distracting and may look very different in black and white. We've seen that with some outdoor photos. The fall foliage background that looks great in orange and red is just a distraction in black and white. And even something as simple as a staircase in the background can turn into weird lines behind you. Once you've selected your photo, you can go ahead and think about your statements. We have received feedback about the pamphlets that we've produced over the years, and we've shared some tips about that in the candidate manual if you're following along. Your statement, first and foremost, should be about you. We hear feedback from voters after the pamphlet goes out, and we've included some of it, as I said, in the section of the manual. And the best advice we have is to be positive. Your information should be written as an essay, formatted in paragraphs. No tables, lists, bullet points are permitted. The word limit will vary with the size of the jurisdiction you're running in, and those word limits can be found on the office's subject to election document on our running for office page. The only formatting allowed for emphasis is italics. Any prohibited formatting will be changed to italics. Before we send the pamphlet to print, we will email you a PDF proof of your statement for you to verify that what we are printing is what you submitted. However, that unfortunately is not an opportunity to make changes or corrections, which brings me to this point about proofreading. Please, please, please take the time to proofread your statement before you submit it. Read it out loud. Ask someone else to read it for you, but please look at it carefully because once it is submitted, it cannot be changed and election staff does not proof or correct any statement in any way. It breaks our hearts to have to print typos. I like using the screen reader feature in Microsoft Word, which will read a document out loud to you. For example, I might have typed the word goggle when I meant to type Google. Both spell check and my human brain might miss that in a visual read through, but the screen reader will say goggle every time if that's what I typed. The next segment of the candidate manual touches on campaign finance information. And for this topic, Angela and I are always going to refer you to the Public Disclosure Commission. We do have Liddell from the PDC here today to talk about campaign finance and take your questions in just a few minutes. As I mentioned at the beginning, for those of you considering running for offices in the city of Seattle, you'll also want to stay on to hear from the city clerk and the Seattle Ethics and Elections Commission for more information about finance from them as well. Let's take a moment now to talk about ballot order. When more than one candidate is running for an office, how do we determine whose name is printed first? The answer is it's random. On Friday evening, at the end of candidate filing week, we will do a lot draw to determine candidate order. Ordinarily, the public is invited to watch the lot draw in person, but with our current safety measures, you'll be able to watch it live streamed on our Facebook page. The top 2 vote getters from the primary are then printed on the general ballot in the order of most votes received in the primary. For those races that do not appear on the primary and go straight to the general, the candidates are printed in lot draw order on the general ballot. The next section of our candidate manual talks about some of the data you can request from our office. Certain parts of every voter record are publicly disclosable and can be requested to use for political purposes only. Candidates often request the names and addresses of voters in their jurisdiction to send out campaign materials. There's a form on our website to make these requests, and there's no fee unless you ask for the data to be printed for you. You can also request mail ballot return data for the current election, which indicates which voters have already returned their ballots. This information lets candidates direct their time and effort to reach out to those voters who have not yet voted and encourage them to do so. If a voter returns their ballot and we're unable to count it due to a signature mismatch, we at King County Elections reach out to that voter with whatever information they provided us, by mail, by email, by phone, to attempt to have the voter correct the mismatch. You can request a list of voters whose ballots have not been counted due to a signature challenge, so that you can also reach out to follow up with those voters because you, like us, want every vote counted. You may also be interested in encouraging new voters to get registered. We have some information and tips in our manual on how to hold a successful voter registration drive. It is important to note that if you collect completed voter registration forms on behalf of voters, you must submit those to the elections office within 5 business days. At this point, you're probably asking yourself, what role does King County Elections play in the regulation of campaign signage? If you weren't asking that question, that's fine. It's just the next section of our manual. And the answer is King County Elections does not play a role in campaign sign regulation. Page 29 of the manual lets you know who does. If you're planning to use campaign signage, you'll want to familiarize yourself with the rules of local municipalities, as well as those of the Department of Transportation, which oversees signage in unincorporated King County. As you may have gathered, it takes a lot of planning and coordination to hold an election. And here at King County Elections, we love when the public wants to learn about what we do. We're especially proud of the integrity and transparency with which we conduct our elections and love to encourage everyone to check out opportunities to observe the work we do. There's a video tour on our website showing every step of ballot processing. And during an election, after ballots are mailed, we turn on live webcams that stream to the site 24 hours a day until we certify that election. Those cameras are running now as we're still tallying ballots from our April 27th special election. Additionally, observers from both political parties are requested and trained to be on site for every election. If that's something that interests you, you can explore that opportunity by contacting the political party with which you affiliate. Elections are also monitored and formally reviewed periodically by the Secretary of State's office. King County Elections was lucky enough to be audited during the presidential election last year. We just got those results and they raved about our processes. So we have covered a lot of information already. In a few short minutes, I'm going to hand the presentation over to Liddell from the PDC to answer your campaign finance questions. But before I do that, does anyone have any questions about filing for office or submitting your voters pamphlet information that Angela and I can answer? Don't see any in the Q&A, and I don't see any in the chat. So with that, thank you for your attention, and I will go ahead and hand off to Liddell.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Give me just one moment. I'm going to turn my video on and then I'm going to share my screen with the PDC website. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop my video while I do my presentation. So we're here at the PDC website, so pdc.wa.gov. So there's quite a bit of information that we have on our website. I know that during the local candidates year that this year for the elections that we have quite a few candidates who have never run for office before. We always try to make sure that we have information available for anybody who's a new candidate. Go ahead and click on our Learn tab, and then the words in blue, See All. It's going to take you to basically anybody who has a filing requirement with the PDC. This is our Learn tab. And we have to start off on the right foot. And these are answers to questions that are frequently asked by. And so we have our new candidates one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that and open that up. So here for our new candidates, we have basically what starts the whole process. So according to disclosure law, you become a candidate with the Public Disclosure Commission if you do any one of these things. And that's the first one that you would do. So if you accept a contribution or spend any money for your campaign, if you reserve space or purchasing advertisement to promote your candidacy, or if you authorize anyone else to do those activities. One of the things you could be thinking about when you're starting to be a candidate is you're like, oh, I might want to go reserve a post office box. So once you do, that's actually spending money for your campaign, and that would stop the process of the filing requirement with the Public Disclosure Commission. You also, if you state publicly, or if you file a Declaration of Candidacy in May. So once you're a candidate, you have 2 weeks to file either your registration and your personal financial affairs statement. So first off, the candidate registration is all about you, the candidate, whereas the personal financial affairs statement is about you, and it's basically a conflict of interest statement. And again, once you become a candidate by disclosure law, you have 2 weeks to file those reports. Those reports are mandated by law to be filed electronically. And so another thing about our website is, if you look at the top here, everything across the top is usually the same on all of our web pages. You can get to the online filing applications by clicking on File Online under the quick links in the upper right-hand corner. And then the first one, candidates and committees. And then the second one, your financial affairs disclosure. So basically, if you were to click on one of these, it pops you to secure access. First, you can click register here. Then it's going to pop you to the secure access. Doesn't do that because I'm already logged in. So usually what happens, it's going to pop you to the secure access Washington website, where you're going to need your SAW login if you don't already have one. And for candidates, this is just a login. You don't have to have a special one that's related just for your campaign. If you already have one, if you do your tabs online with the Department of Licensing or your registration for your vehicle online, you can go ahead and use that same SAW ID. It's just basically a single access for any state agency so that you guys can use any of that. So let's go ahead and go back to the Learn tab here. And again, we have the frequently asked questions. We have it for the personal financial information also. If you scroll down on our left-hand side, and I showed you at the top of the web page that you could get to the online filing, you can also get to the online filing here. Next thing I want to show you is where we have some informational training guides and our training videos. So here we have our video tutorials. If you don't currently hold an office and you haven't already filed that personal financial affairs statement, we do have a video that's using the financial affairs disclosure F1 system for our new filers. And then if you're a return filer, we also have a video for you if you'd like to watch that. And then we also do, for the Public Disclosure Commission, we have training that we offer, and you can find that under quick links under important dates. We do our ORCA training, which is our online reporting of campaign information. And again, you're required to file electronically, and you're required to process those reports electronically. And so we do Zoom meetings, trainings that we do. We have those that you can sign up for, but we also have the video tutorials. So this would be the first one, how to use the Orca system. And then we also have the campaign finance rules, which is basically the laws that you would need to follow. And if you scroll down a little bit farther on our manual section, we do have some instructions for candidates and for the personal financial affairs disclosure. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll back up. I'm going to go ahead and take us back to our main PDC website. So you'll notice that these headings, anytime you're anywhere on any of our web pages, you click on that white PDC logo that takes you back to our main home page. If you look over here on to the left-hand side, we have a Get Help with the question mark. If you click on that, that actually takes you where we call it a ticket. So you can enter your email address, your name. There's a drop down for what you would like to do if you need help or information, or you need some help filing reports, or any other things if you want to learn about filing requirements. And then you can just go ahead and type in the information, and then you can send that off. You can also just email us. So we scroll down here to the bottom of our web page. You can see that we do have an email address, pdc@pdc.wa.gov, and we have our phone numbers listed here also. So now I'm going to take a moment and talk about reporting options. So when you file with the PDC and you're filling out your candidate registration, we have basically what we call mini reporting and full reporting. One of the features I like on our website is our search. So if I just type in mini to full, and choose the second one down, which has to do with candidates. And this is in our candidate instruction manual. So for mini reporting, this limits the amount of money that you can raise and spend, and also the amount of money that you can receive from any one contributor other than yourself in the aggregate. Your filing fee is not included in part of that. The raise or spend no more than $5,000 if you choose mini reporting. One thing to think about when you are filing for your candidacy in May is that filing fee, if you have to pay one, it is part of your campaign and it is reportable to the Public Disclosure Commission. So you want to make sure that if that's something that you've paid personal out of your pocket, it is something that if you do a loan, you can actually have your campaign pay you back on that. And one of the things that, and I'll mention this a couple times, is that I do recommend, especially for any new candidate and a treasurer who will be assisting any candidates, that you do take that training either on our website or with us with Zoom for the laws, which is the compliance training, and how to use Orca for being able to file electronically. So then if you choose mini reporting and you decide that that isn't going to work out for you, we do have deadlines where you can go from mini to full reporting. So if you want to do that before the primary, the deadline is June 21st this year. I do see that we have the deadline for the 2020, so we haven't updated this yet. But that deadline is June 21st. And then the deadline for the general election is always August 31st. If August 31st falls on a weekend, it's the next business day. And so what you're going to want to do if you choose mini reporting and then decide to change to full reporting is you're going to make sure that you send that email to the PDC. You are going to get assigned a filer assistant specialist. I am a filer assistant specialist at the PDC, and I have two colleagues that you may or may not have worked with, Scott and Jenny. And you'll get assigned to one of us, and we'll work with you and assist you in the process of all the reporting that you need to do. And also anything that email or letter that you need to send to any of your opponents. And again, electronic filing is required for the personal financial affairs statement and for your candidate registration. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my search that I did. Go ahead and click on the main white PDC logo, get us back to our home page. And I'm going to take a moment to talk about contribution limits. So remember, we spoke a moment ago about mini reporting, and then you could not raise or spend more than $5,000. And the $5,000 includes your own funds. So if you as a candidate decide to fund your entire campaign yourself, you could not go over $5,000, and that's for the entire campaign. And you couldn't accept more than $500 from any one contributor, and that's other than yourself as a candidate. So let's go ahead and click on the Learn again, and let's go ahead and just click on contribution limits. So as a candidate, we have this nice little matrix here. So if you look at, you have this drop down, and these are the source of the contributions. So let's go ahead and click individual and then select. So if you're running for, let's say, a school board office, you can receive up to $1,000 per election from any one contributor. So basically what we mean by per election is that any candidate where their name is on the primary ballot, you're allowed to receive a $1,000 contribution from any contributor, any individual contributor, for $1,000 for the election. And if your name shows up on the general ballot, you could also receive another $1,000 for that contributor for the general election. You may not spend any general election contributions until after the primary. And the same thing goes if you're a judicial candidate, you have $2,000 per election. And then if you're doing any city, that's also up here with the local, county, city, school board. And so we also have, if you look right below here, we have this printer-friendly chart. I really like this little matrix that we have. So across the top, it talks about who the contributor is. And then along the side, it talks about who the recipient is. It gives you exact same information. So if you are running for a local office, which is over here, and an individual wants to contribute to your campaign, you'll see right here, it's $1,000 per election. So one of the things to know about also is the jurisdiction that you're running for. There are some different obligations that you may be in a jurisdiction that has a voter registration count less than 5,000, and you're not going to be raising or spending more than that 5,000. The only document you may be filing would be the F1, the personal financial affairs statement. And so when you're running for an office, let's say it's a school board office, it's actually the entire school district jurisdiction is your voter registration count. And most of those are what we call a C jurisdiction, and that'd be our C series, which is the campaign registration, and then also the reporting of all your contributors and your expenditures for your campaign. So let's go ahead and go back. And go up to our white PDC logo and get us back to our home page. So we spoke a couple times about your deadlines. So when you are, according to disclosure law, a candidate, and we did go over those items. And so basically, again, to reiterate, disclosure law is basically if you raise or spend any money for your candidacy or authorize anybody else to do that, declare publicly that you're running for office, and so, or you're due fill out the Declaration of Candidacy. A lot of times the Declaration of Candidacy could be the last event that you're doing. And so your time frame with filing your reports with the PDC may actually occur and start before you do your declaration in May. So you have 14 days from the time that you become a candidate, according to disclosure law, to file the report, your C1, which is your candidate registration, and your F1, which is the personal financial affairs statement with the Public Disclosure Commission. And so I'm going to go ahead and pause right here. I'm going to leave my share going just in case we have any questions. Anybody wants to know where something is on our website. And I'm going to attempt to turn my video back on. I say attempt because sometimes the things move around a little bit. Okay, there we go. I have my video back on. So if anybody has any questions.
If you do have questions you want to ask out loud, you can click raise hand and we can unmute you. Otherwise, we do have the Q&A and chat open if anyone wanted to type in their questions. Okay, in the chat we see, can you explain C1 and F1?
Yes, most definitely. So the C1, which is the candidate registration, that's where you're going to go and basically you're going to fill out your name on that. You're going to fill out, like, if you have a campaign name. So for me, let's give myself as an example. My name is Liddell. My last name is Fuquay. So that would be my candidate name would be Liddell Fuquay. Maybe my campaign name is Friends of Liddell. And then I'm going to fill out information as far as if I have a treasurer. I can be my own treasurer if I would like, but it does require quite a bit of time and effort for being a treasurer when you're doing those contribution and expenditure reports. And then I'm also going to, by law, I'm required, if I'm accepting any contributions, to have a separate bank account. The PDC does not dictate what the bank requires from you. So a lot of times it can be an EIN number, it can be your social. Sometimes they'll want to see the registration. Each bank is a little bit different on their requirements. We always suggest that you just check around and see what the different banks require. And again, that's filed electronically, and you just click that on the file online and then follow the steps to it. So the F1, which is the personal financial affairs statement, that's all about you as a person. I always call it kind of a snapshot. So if you're a new candidate and you're running for office, and let's say you decide to announce publicly today that you're running for office, you're going to go back 12 months from the date that you're announcing, the date that you're filling out that financial affairs disclosure. And it's also called a conflict of interest. And it's going to, there's ranges on there, monetary ranges of like 0 to 30,000, and it goes up over $1 million. And so you just choose a range. It's going to cover a bunch of different information about your income, your any assets you have, debts that you have. So like student loans, car, mortgage. It's going to go all over that information. Again, it's not a very specific, like you make, let's say, $80,000 in your job. There's a range that you choose, and for that. And again, the financial affairs is all about you as the person. And if you want me to go into any more depth, I'm totally able to do that.
Liddell, we do have a related question. If you filed your F1 and C1 but did not win the election, is there a way to update the previously filed information?
I'm not quite sure I understand, but so if you file a C1 and an F1, and let's say you ran in 2019 as a candidate, but you didn't win that candidacy, so you didn't have to file your annual F1, you would want to refile your F1 and your C1. And so if you filed in our new system, so for our campaign registration system, we launched our new system in May of 2019. If you did any campaign registration after that date, you can go in and you can basically copy over a lot of that information. Our personal financial affairs came out in for the year of 2020. So if you filed anything in the application for 2020, it will actually load your previous information into it. And please let me know if I didn't quite answer what you were asking.
Let me go ahead and LaShawn has a question. LaShawn, you should be able to unmute at this moment.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So it's a lot of information at one time. I've taken like really good notes, but I still have some missing spaces and a lot of questions. So is there time for one-on-one at the office there? Is there someone dedicated to just kind of help you walk through the process if you have a learning disability or you're just not comprehending, and you have questions? I just feel
Most
overwhelmed right
definitely.
now.
Yeah, no, most definitely. There is a lot of information. And that's why I always suggest that, people, sign up for our Zoom classes or look at the videos. But yes, definitely call the PDC. So let me go ahead and scroll down here.
Okay.
There are 3 filer assistant specialists on staff who will answer very specific questions. We have a customer service team who will answer a lot of your general information and general questions. So we have toll free in the state of Washington, our phone and our email. And yes, please feel free to, we're open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, minus any major state holidays. Please feel free to give us a call, email us. We are definitely here to assist you. Our titles is actually filer assistant specialist. So yes, definitely.
Okay, that's very reassuring. Thank you so much for that information.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think that's the end of my question.
Okay.
That's a great question, LaShawn. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We do have one more question, and then I think we'll move on to our City of Seattle specifics. So is the F1 mandatory and can be released to opponents, and will they be in public domain?
Yes, the F1, if you're running for a jurisdiction that has more than the 2,000 registered voters, or if you're going to raise and expend more than that $5,000, the F1 is mandatory, and it's mandatory to be filed electronically. Anything that you file with the PDC is of public record. We are a state agency. The F1 does not ask for any account numbers. It doesn't ask for your social. As of 2020, so anybody who filed the F1 in 2020 or 2021, it's actually available on our website. And so what I do suggest, if you have concerns of maybe what information is on the F1 and what type of information may be shared with the public. So one of 2 things that I suggest, because it is an electronic application, it is required to be filed electronically. I do ask that you can send an email to the PDC asking to see what used to be the paper form, and it'll kind of give you a high overview of what you can see for the electronic application. But also if you click on our Learn tab, and then the word See All in blue, and then you scroll down to our guides and training videos, and then you scroll to the personal financial affairs disclosure instructions. This will also give you helpful information. It has basic information and completing the F1 as far as what's required. The other spot that you may want to take a look at is also on our Learn tab. And it's individuals reporting their personal financial information. This is answers to frequently asked questions. So it kind of gives a high overview of who must file, when are they due, where you file it, kind of what's there. And then it's a 3-page, so you can take a look at that also.
Okay, so I think we can take one more question from LaShawn, and then we do have one more question in the chat. I am going to pause so that we can, after this question from LaShawn, welcome the Seattle City Clerk's office, because we want to stick to our timeline.
Okay. And I definitely respect our timeline, and I'm going to stay in there. I have a question. Like, if you don't win and you get all this money, right, that people gave you for your candidacy, how do you give that money back? Or what happens to the funds?
You have multiple choices. So all of the money, let's say, so you're in the primary election, you don't go past the primary. Any contributions you receive for the general, you have to return. The
Okay.
ones that you receive for the primary, the day after the primary, they become surplus funds. What I suggest that you do is go to our website here on the search, type in surplus funds. There are very specific things that you can do. And if you have more questions, I highly recommend that you just give the PDC a call or email us.
Okay.
And we are on a time frame here, and I know that we are 2 minutes into the next section. So
Sorry.
any
Okay.
no problem. I just want to make sure that we had time for questions, give as much of the answers that we could give, and then what I just recommend that any more questions, call the PDC, email us. We're here to help you. We're here to assist you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Liddell, and thanks for those great questions. I love when we have an engaged group who, has a lot to ask. At this point, I do want to thank everyone for attending and let you all know we're going to send a follow-up email in the next couple of days that will contain web links to a lot of the resources that we've talked about and shared in the chat.
Great.
Email will come from the Election Services email address.
Okay.
And as Angie and I mentioned, if you reach out to King County Elections, most likely you're going to hear back from me or her. So we're going to, anyone who's not interested in the city of Seattle is free to sign off. You could also stay on. This could be good information. I think Liddell is able to stay if we have time for further questions after that. But at this point, I'm going to hand off to Monica Simmons, Seattle City Clerk. And I know we have Liz Adkison here as well. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you, Diane, and great information from yourself and Angela and Liddell. And this is a partnership. So the city clerk, and again, my name is Monica Martinez Simmons. I'm the city clerk for the city of Seattle, also the clerk of the council. And Liz, Elizabeth Atkinson, is deputy director for the office of the city clerk. So we're here to share a little information about what role the city clerk plays in regards to the elections. And as I mentioned, we work closely in partnership with King County Elections, as well as Seattle Ethics and Elections. I would say in most cases, most generally speaking, candidates or the successful candidate will engage with our office generally after the election is certified in November by King County. We will reach out to the winning candidate to discuss the orientation that that is important for newly elected officials or even returning elected officials, as well as really get them up and ready when it comes to setting up their office. In addition to that, we schedule their official oath of office so that they are prepared to take office on January 1st. But we were also here to provide a number of resources in the interim. The information that you heard from King County and Liddell, it's probably the most timely information that you're going to hear along with Polly's today, but we're here for you as well. So again, a number of resources that we believe would be helpful to you are available on our website at cityclerk@seattle.gov. And Liz is going to navigate that website for us right now. And just kind of want to open your eyes to some information that you might find helpful to yourself. So Liz, if you wouldn't mind, we can share the website real quick. So this is the Office of the City Clerk website at seattle.gov. And as you note on this homepage, there's a number of resources just on this first part, and then we'll kind of navigate downward to show you some of the election related resources as well. But you will find the Seattle Municipal Code. Liz is going to kind of put her little cursor over there. The Seattle Municipal Code can be accessed here, as well as the city charter. These are important resources. There's a lot of information related to the council's roles and responsibilities for the city of Seattle. Also, another area that we believe is just really helpful, once you're elected into office, what are the rules? What are the standing rules that we need to follow to be successful and effective council members? I would say the city council rules of procedure, they are elected, they are not elected, they are approved on a biennial basis. But the council rules of procedure is a resource that I would highly recommend that candidates and of course newly electeds alike become familiar with. and they are on this website. And Liz, if you navigate down a little bit further, if you're able, this page goes on and on, but there is a number of there's a number of information here that you might find helpful, such as searching legislation, or locating your current council district, or subscribing to city council agendas, or locating your district and at-large council members. So again, great information that that I believe is very helpful for City of Seattle council member candidates. Then if we go a little bit further down the slide, you can maybe we can stop at that calendar, Liz. That's a great resource as well. The City Council has their own website as well, but as clerk of the council, a lot of our information, you'll find it on our page and you'll find it on the City Council's page. It's the same information, just linked in a different way. This is a great resource. It's a quick link to all the council agendas once they're in good order and published. So you can come here at any time and see what's coming up on their schedule. A little bit further down, more information related to being a council member. You know, what type of public comment information can we provide to those that want to provide comment to the City Council? That's in that little ice cube tray right there for your reference. And I was referring to the City Council rules just to the right. This is a very, very important resource. Highly recommend that any candidate start reviewing that. That, as I mentioned, are the standing rules of the council. You'll see a lot of information here too. The legislative glossary at the bottom of this page is a great resource. And then a little, I'm going all over the place. Right above that is the how to read a bill. Very, very important information. And then over to the right, how a bill becomes a law. That's a training resource that we offer to not only the community, but to the council members. And the Office of the City Clerk provides a substantial amount of training for the incoming city council members. So I would say once the election is certified, as I mentioned, we reach out, develop a training schedule, an orientation schedule, and we cover all of this information and make it available to each of the council members as well. Also, there's a legislative research guide link that you will see there as well. Researching city laws. And if you know the Office of the City Clerk well, we're here to provide support to you. If you're looking for information, if we don't have it in our own office, we will work really hard to connect you with the appropriate individuals so that you have the information that you need. But these resources are available to you now. So we just wanted to bring your attention to them, and hopefully you'll find them very helpful. But our presentation today is pretty brief. However, I think, like I said, we're just directing you to the information that you would find helpful now. But similar to Angela and Diane and Liddell, Liz and I are available, and you can reach out to us at any time. On our little presentation slide, we have available contact information, and we're happy to make this available to Angela so that she can provide it to everyone, or even in the the chat section of this workshop. So if we go to, so this is how you contact me or Liz. Either one, we're here to help you. We can both help you answer any types of questions related really to the legislative process or the orientation of city council members, and just general resources. Who do I contact if I need to find some information out related to Seattle City Council or the City of Seattle? And I think that is pretty much what we wanted to share with you today. I would ask Liz if there's anything else she would like to add at this time, and just thank her for preparing us for today.
Nothing to add. Thank you so much for having us today. Again, we're both available for additional questions. And also, if you need help navigating our website to the resources that we shared today, we'd be happy to walk you through that.
Absolutely. And thank you. We're happy to take any questions now. And if not, we'll turn the time back over to Diane.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, Yeah, it looks like we do have a few minutes before the SEEC representatives join us, so we can return to some of the Q&A that we have. I don't know that they're specific necessarily for City of Seattle. Let's see, in our chat box.
Nice to see Polly there.
I
Do we have
made
Polly
it,
here?
yes.
Oh, great, thanks, Polly. Great. Well then, Polly, if you want to go ahead and get started, we'll just pick up Q&A right at the end. Monica and Liz, if you can't stay, I'm so grateful you could be here. Thanks for being flexible. And we will definitely include your contact information in our follow-up email.
No, our pleasure. We'll hang on as long as we can.
Great. Thank you. All right. And so Polly is here joining us from the Seattle Ethics and Elections Commission, which I stumble over. SEEC is easier for me. Polly, the floor is yours. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Diane. I'm sorry I missed the first part of this session, but our office primarily deals with candidates who are running for Seattle Mayor, Seattle City Council, and Seattle City Attorney, and for ballot issues, Seattle ballot issues. I can, let me see, I can just share I think I can share our screen here. Well, maybe not. Oh, wait, did my screen share? It looks
Yeah, I think we're looking at yours.
Okay, so so this is the main elections page, and it really has most of the information that campaigns will need. The campaigns page, it lists all the candidates who have filed for office and all the ballot issues and independent expenditure committees. You can just click on a name of a candidate and it will bring up a dashboard. I'll just bring up I'll just bring up Durkin because she's not running, but it will bring up a dashboard showing how much they've raised, how much they've spent, their top 5 contributors, their recent filings, and then the C1 is here along with other interesting information. We also have on the charts page, it's kind of complicated, but this is a fun page to play with. One thing that people are always interested in is where are the contributions coming from? You can look at all the contributions to candidates by district. You can look at all the contributions to the mayoral candidates, or you can look at for an individual candidate where their contributions are coming from. If somebody wants help on navigating that, I love talking about this stuff. There's just lots of really great information about elections here on our page. The other really important page for candidates is the law and filer page. It just has basic information about what the rules are. And for Seattle candidates who have to file a Seattle F1 statement of financial interest in addition to the PDC F1, this is where you can find that. The other thing that we do, and Chrissy from our office is also on the line here, but our office also manages the Democracy Voucher Program, where we provide vouchers to every Seattle resident that they can use to support the Seattle candidate of their choice if those candidates are participating. We've got a list of participating candidates. And you can see here the list of the candidates and what their status is in the process. We have, I don't know my way around this page as well, I apologize. This is the way for people who want to use their vouchers. They can use them online. We also we provide each candidate, whether they're participating in the Democracy Voucher Program or not, an opportunity to write a 200-word statement and provide us with a photograph, because we find that the candidates in the voucher program, actually all candidates are out there campaigning long before the voters pamphlet is available, and people want to know, what is your campaign about? And this is a great way for the candidates to introduce themselves to the public. So we take those, I think, through the first week of June, and post those on our website. We post them in 18 different languages, I believe. So it's a great resource, particularly if you're reaching out to voters who speak a different language. And there's ways for people to request replacement vouchers. We offer about a 30-minute training for candidates who are interested in learning about the democracy voucher. It primarily focuses on the qualifying process. And basically, if you're a candidate for mayor and you qualify, you're eligible for up to $800,000 in democracy voucher in democracy vouchers. No more than $400,000 in the primary. And for city council and city attorney, you're eligible for $375,000, no more than $187,500 in the primary. The last thing that I want to talk about is the Video Voters Guide. The Video Voters Guide is a joint production between the county and the city. We've been doing it for almost 30 years, I believe, where we provide candidates an opportunity to tape a 2-minute statement. We don't edit it, but you come into our Seattle Channel studios for your taping session, and we put together a whole video for all the candidates running for basically the countywide offices, like, sheriff, assessor, county council, what else? Port of Seattle, Seattle School Board, and Seattle city candidates and ballot issues. So we give them all an opportunity to come in and tape a 2-minute statement. We put that out around the time that the voters pamphlet is mailed out, and it's a great tool for campaigns. More and more campaigns can do their own videos. We find that a lot of the residents and voters really want to see this Video Voters Guide because it's not campaigny. It's really more your 2-minute stump speech. So we will be doing the taping for the Video Voters Guide. I think taping starts June 4th and goes through the 11th. I think that's a Friday to a Friday. We will be contacting your campaign immediately after the close of filing week, May 21st. So please be on the lookout for that. We have a very, very tight schedule to get these tapings done. And, we'll just ask you to come in for your appointment. And, we'll help you get that set up. We'll give you the information that you need to know in order to, make a successful video. And we love to have participation. In the past, there's been a $100 fee. We are waiving that fee this year for a variety of reasons, but we're waiving the fee for producing the Video Voters Guide. So if you are a candidate for city office, I encourage you to contact us. We provide our own training on campaign disclosure like the PDC, but ours is focused on city laws. And there are some differences between city law and state law. We don't conflict, but sometimes we require some additional reporting. You can also contact us about learning about the Democracy Voucher Program. If you're not sure, just please give us a call or send us an email. We are happy to talk to you. There is no deadline on qualifying for the Democracy Voucher Program. This is a question I get a lot. But you must tell us that you are participating, that you're going to attempt to qualify. I think it's June 2nd. It's early in June. So I know I just spat out a lot of information there. So if anybody has any questions, if anybody is interested in running for office in Seattle, please contact us. We're not going to hold you to anything, but we would love to talk to you before you just dive into the deep end of the pool, to help you launch your journey in a safe and proper way.
It's a great, really helpful offer, Polly. Thank you for being here. And what amazingly useful information.
Hey, can I just add one other thing? And I don't know if you've already talked about this, and I don't have a lot of information about it, but I understand in years past, the city of Seattle has published its own voters pamphlet. I mean, we collect all that information. And now I understand that King County is going to be handling the voters pamphlet for the city of Seattle. So I assume you've already talked about that, but I wanted to add that clarification if someone had been used to doing that with the city.
That's a great point. We had not brought that up, so thank you for mentioning it. Yes, voter pamphlet photos and statements previously had gone to you. They will be included in the King County local voters pamphlet this time around. So those candidates who file for the city of Seattle, once their filing is approved, will get an email with a link to let them know how to submit their materials to us.
Yeah. And I will do everything in my power to encourage them to respond to that. Because I've spent many years training them not to respond to that. So
yeah, we'll appreciate you helping everybody get to us. That deadline, that pamphlet submission deadline for King County elections is the Friday after the candidate filing deadline. So May 20th. Okay. Yeah, so we'll send that email out as soon as candidacy is approved. So if you file on the 17th and we get that approved, they'll have access to that link and be able to, if you've got your statement and your photo and your materials ready to go.
Great. Great.
And the word counts for City of Seattle, because it's such a large jurisdiction, the statement word count is 300 words. So
300, which is less than what we've had in the past, but I think it's as much as people really want to read. I'm sorry, candidates.
It's probably fair.
Think of your audience.
So the one question that had still been in the chat, and I think this was directed when Liddell was speaking, what are the most common issues that new candidates should be aware of, which, if overlooked, can have legal implications? But any of our panelists are free to hop in if you have something you want to bring up in response to that. But I'll start with Liddell.
Thank you. So basically, with the Public Disclosure Commission, anyone in the public can file a complaint about a campaign. So I think one of the most important things for new candidates and any candidate actually to know is, what are your filing requirements? And so that's kind of, I spoke about the disclosure law and when you become a candidate, and that starts the time frame for the 14 days for those reports. I would definitely suggest that any new candidate to reach out to the PDC for the state laws. You know, if you're running for office in the city of Seattle, obviously the SEC, you want to reach out to the And as far as legal implications, as far as the PDC goes, I don't work on the compliance team, but they're definitely a compliance team part of the PDC and complaints. And there can be basically, with at least the Public Disclosure Commission, basically a fine. The PDC is allowed to do, I believe it's up to $10,000 to fine per law that is broken. I can get you, let me share my screen here really quick. Let's get to the website. It's a lot easier when I stop my video. Sometimes the lag times. I'm gonna go ahead and stop my video. So for the Public Disclosure Commission, if you click on the red engage and then the word see all, this pops up for, you want to click on enforcement. Hopefully the page will load here pretty quick. These are basically current enforcement cases. Everything pretty much that's ever filed with the Public Disclosure Commission is a public document, is available for the public. If it's not on our website, anybody can do a public records request. So you can check cases, kind of, maybe what law that was broken for their campaign. There is an enforcement guide that you can check out and read. So I think knowing where on our website for the important dates, this just gives our calendar. So knowing, your filing deadlines, what you need to file, and then the dates, of course, of those filings, because there are definite dates that reports are due by. So for a candidate who's doing the C series, so that's you're going to do your campaign registration, and then you're going to file all of your contributions report, which is the C3, and then your expenditures, the C4. The C4 is a combination of all the money into your bank account and out of your bank account. That's monthly until it starts, until June. And so we have these deadlines here. So you'll notice that this one right here that talks about, it's the special election in April. So you want to just look some of them, because we do have the special elections in February and April, and then of course the primary in general. And so we check that's again for the special election. So if you let's go to May. So if you start your campaign in April, your C4s, which is all your money in and your money out, are due the 10th of the month until we get closer to the primary. And then your C3s are due monthly until you get to June 1st, and then it's weekly. So I think that's probably one of as far as the Public Disclosure Commission, that would be some of the most important things to know.
Thanks for fielding that one, Liddell. Did anyone else have any thing to add about legal responsibilities? Oh, thanks, Polly.
I will just concur with Liddell. I think timely reporting. Sometimes people feel like, oh, I don't have everything that's required, so I'll just wait till I get it. Get the report in on time. You can always amend. It doesn't absolve you of perhaps a late filing penalty, but from our perspective, getting in a report on time, is a mitigating factor for the most part. If you have a regular habit of leaving great swaths of information off of your report, that's going to be problematic. As far as other, legal implications, I often tell candidates, you have to work pretty hard to get to a place where we're going to bring charges, and in that instance, as serious as us bringing charges is, you also are going to have some serious implications with your actual campaign and your ability to get elected. So just, know what the rules are. We are here to provide you information and get your reports in on time. It makes our lives easier if you know what the rules are, and it makes that information available to the public, which is, the goal isn't necessarily to make our lives easier, but when you're making that information available to the public, that is what we're shooting for. So get your reports in on time.
Thank you. And great point. I think all of us who have spoken and are here today are really happy to answer any questions. So you don't need to live in ambiguity. If you have questions about something that's allowed or not allowed, or deadline questions, please reach out. And whoever you reach out to will get you to the right person if we don't have the answer. I don't see any more questions in our chat or Q&A, and I don't see any hands raised. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap up today. And as I had said before, we will send out a follow-up email with links to all of these resources that we've shared, contact links. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining us today. Thanks for all our potential candidates, our panelists. And yeah, everyone enjoy the rest of your day. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have further questions. Thanks everyone.